guys, it's Jordan from Waller Health Education with Lehigh Valley Hospital. Some of you may know me from coming into your schools in the past and talking about different health topics. Now today you can see I'm sitting in my backyard. We are coming to you virtually through YouTube videos. Whether you're in school or you're learning online or maybe even a mixture of both, this is just the safest way for us to discuss health topics with you guys. So today the health topic, or the topic that we're going to talk about, is different communication styles. So there are 3 different communication styles that we're going to talk about. We're talking about them because communication is really important. If you think about communication, we are constantly communicating with people, whether it's face-to-face, through a phone or a computer. We're always communicating. So it's important that we learn how to effectively communicate with people that we're constantly around. Friends, family members, teachers, people in the community. So we'll learn how to communicate in a safe, positive, effective way. We'll also talk a little bit about conflict and how to handle that appropriately, the things you should be doing, the things you shouldn't be doing. So this topic is extremely important. I think we all need to learn how to positively communicate. So I hope that you learned something new, and I hope you enjoy this video. There are 3 styles of communication that we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about passive communication, aggressive communication, and assertive communication. So these are the 3 most common ways that people communicate, and we'll talk about which ones are ways we want to avoid and which ways are ways that we do truly want to communicate. So the first one we're going to talk about is called passive communication. So passive communication is not asking for what you want or what you need. So these people usually act in a particular way because they want to be liked. So maybe they're just doing things to fit in. Maybe they're doing it because everybody else is doing it. They're saying yes to things when they really want to say no. And they're doing this because maybe they don't want to let people down. Maybe they want people to like them or to think that they're cool. So this isn't really a good way to communicate because you're doing things that you don't want to do. Maybe you want something, or you want something to go a certain way, or you have an opinion on something, but you're not actually giving it. So you're being very passive. Sometimes people who communicate passively are taken advantage of, or they're walked all over, and that's because they don't speak up for themselves. So passive communication is not a good way to communicate because you're really not communicating at all. Next, we have aggressive communication. So you could probably guess from just the name of this type of communication style that it's not a good way to communicate. So aggressive communication is asking for what you want and what you need, but you do it in a very disrespectful way. So you could be invading people's personal space. Maybe you have very negative facial expressions or a whole lot of attitude. Maybe you're threatening other people, you're yelling at them, you're slamming doors, you're kind of getting in their face. So aggressive communication is a very poor way to communicate because although you're asking for what you want and what you need, you're being very disrespectful. And honestly, it could start a lot more issues for you, especially if you are being aggressive and you're yelling and you're threatening people. You don't know what they're going to do in return. So aggressive communication is a very poor way to communicate and something that we want to avoid. So our best form of communication is something called assertive communication. And assertive communication is saying how you feel, asking for what you want and what you need, but you're doing it in a respectful way. So it allows you to say no without feeling guilty. You're just saying no because that's genuinely how you feel. It allows you to offer ideas and suggestions. Again, doing it in a respectful way. You're being nice and positive about it. You have positive facial expressions. You're not yelling or telling people what to do or anything like that. So you're just saying how you feel in a respectful manner. So assertive communication is our very best form of communication and the one that we want to use when we're communicating with other people. And another thing that assertive communication allows for is for us to disagree in a respectful manner. So that leads us into conflict. Now, most of you have probably had conflict in your lives already, and you will probably continue to have conflict. Conflict is just something that happens because we're all different people. We all have different views and opinions, and that's okay. how we handle conflict is really important. So conflict's not necessarily a good thing or a bad thing, it's just something that happens. What makes it good or bad is the way that we respond to it, and since we know how to communicate effectively and assertively, we should be able to handle it in a positive way. So some ways to handle conflict, we want to make sure that we're staying calm. Sometimes when we're really angry, when we're really mad or upset at the moment, we can say things we don't mean, maybe we overreact. So we just want to try to remain calm. And if we aren't calm, maybe take a few minutes or hours or however long you need to try to take a step back and try to calm down before you actually talk or react to the other person. We don't want to make it personal, so we want to make sure that we're not blaming the other person. We're kind of just telling them how we feel in those moments when we do try to talk it out instead of saying you make me feel this way or you did this to me. Don't make it personal. Just try to say your thoughts and your feelings and try to do it in a respectful way. Make sure that you're talking openly about your problems. You're being honest and upfront with everything that's bothering you because that's really the only way that it's going to get solved. Listen to everything the other person says before you react. And now this may be really difficult, and I know for me, sometimes it's difficult to just hear the other person out. Sometimes you just want to cut them off and be like, no, wait, this is actually what happened. But just wait, don't interrupt them. That usually just makes things worse. Listen to everything they have to say, think about it, and then respond in a respectful way. Don't blame the other person, like I said before. Placing blame on the other person is probably going to heighten the situation. It's probably only going to make them more upset, and it's not really going to fix what's going on. And then work together to find a solution where both sides are happy. So don't just be like, yeah, that's fine. Make sure that you're both working towards something that's going to make you and the other person happy. Don't just give in. That's not assertively communicating. Don't tell them it's your way or no way. Make sure you guys can meet in the middle to try to figure this out. Try to come to a general compromise where both sides are happy. So which way do you think you communicate? I want you to look at this picture up on the screen and just think about the way that you communicate. Do you communicate passively, aggressively, or assertively? And if you don't communicate assertively, that's okay. Just try your best to maybe change the way you're communicating to reach the goal of communicating assertively. So I just have some examples of what those communications look like and what it sounds like if you put it into action. So maybe pause this video and look through it and see what type of communication style you are and see, how close are you to communicating assertively? Because again, that's our end goal, to be able to communicate assertively and effectively with the people surrounding us. So just take this and look it over and just see which one you closely resemble. Thank you for watching our video on the 3 communication styles. Again, communication is so important because it's the way that we communicate our thoughts and feelings with the people around us. So we're communicating with people basically all day, every day. So it's important to learn how to communicate effectively and be able to be respectful when we're handling conflict. So I hope that you learned something new today, and I hope you enjoyed this video.